I'm live and dangerous. Hello, welcome to you people watching this in playback. Because you're the only ones I'm talking to right now, because no one's joined the live stream yet. Although, some people are getting very prompt, jumping in very quickly, but no one here yet. It's just you and me having private talks, and that's kind of special. Except now people are jumping in. Hello Caleb, hello Peter. That was a very brief alone time. You're obviously sitting online looking for entertainment. And hey Batherite, good to see you all. Oh yes, it's in the mood. It's a Thursday night. Kick back, have a drink. Not too many, because I still have to go to work tomorrow, and I'd rather not be feeling very rancid in the morning. But you know, a relaxing beverage. It's almost the weekend. That seems like a good enough excuse. And kick back and have a chat and talk about the state of the world. Hey, Aussie Brick Chick, good to see you. That is a refreshing beverage I have made myself. I don't know what I'd call it. It's, do I watch Game of Thrones? Yes, I do. And I watched the first episode, and it was a good start to the season. Lots happening. Lots still to happen, obviously, this season. People who say they know tell me they're counting this season. There are 2 more seasons to run to resolve. So I will be very intrigued as to what happened, because Daenerys has landed in Westeros. She's on Dragonstone. The guy who's on the Iron Throne, who gets the Iron Throne? Well, that's very interesting. Hey Tendai, because yeah, I'm with Jaime Lannister. That whole family are scumbags. That whole clan, that whole house. You know, they're pirates. They're not even cool pirates. They're just scumbags. They're a very negative house. Of all the houses, I think they're the most negative. Even the Freys are not quite as negative as them. That was so weird. Aussie Brick Chick, people cracking a shit about Ed Sheeran being in the episode. And I don't know if there was any advance saying Ed Sheeran was going to be in it, or if they kept it a surprise. I was surprised. But yeah, he was just a character in it. They just wanted him in it. And it was kind of cute and interesting. Joe, 2 minutes. You only missed the first 2 minutes, so I just started. Yeah. So, I have to admit, I'm so fucking happy with what happened to the Freys, because I've been saying for seasons, since the Red Wedding, it's like, okay, you know what, this is not just family versus family. This is not, you know, whose side are you on in the war? The Freys betrayed the most basic rule of what passes for civilized society in Westeros. Basically, if you know, bread and salt, you pledge to protect someone who's in your house, not murder them. That's basically the worst thing you can do. So when they killed Robb and his mum and all the other Starks at the Red Wedding, I was like, man, you don't just need revenge. Like, the Freys need to be wiped out. Nobody can trust them. They have broken the most basic rule of this society, and the only fit punishment is to wipe them out. And that's what happened. So I'd been saying it for a couple of seasons, and it finally happened. So that was quite a payoff to have them get wiped out. Jon has the best leadership. Well, he's a Targaryen. You know, that was the most popular fan theory for years. Ned Stark's bastard wasn't actually Ned Stark's bastard. It was his sister's bastard, but the father was Rhaegar Targaryen. And that's turned out to be true. So we all know Jon's going to end up riding a dragon because he's a Targaryen. You're saying, okay, you're saying John's got the best leadership skills. The people in the north are a bit fucking rash. Like, you know, there's that whole agreement of the kingdoms, and you agree that you're under the rule of King's Landing, and then when they decide, when Robb Stark goes, no, we're going to rebel because they killed my dad, they're going, the king in the north, the king in the north. And that ended really fucking badly. And then along comes Jon Snow, who, as far as they know, is a bastard, and he broke the law by leaving the Watch, you know, leaving the Wall. But just out of the blue, no, he'll do king in the north, king in the north. You guys need to think things through a bit better, quite honestly. Like everyone else, I really like Jon. I think he's an awesome character. But I'm just saying, the people in the north generally, bit rash. They rush to, hey, no, let's have an insurrection. Let's go to war. Oh, is Lady Mormont not the best? Peter Thrum, she's the best. Who would have believed, like, when they made a little girl be tough and hard as nails and don't fuck with her, if they told you they were going to do that, you go, oh, that's going to be so cheesy. That's just going to be stupid. That's just going to be like a little joke. But everyone loves Lady Mormont. Like, Lady Mormont is someone with whom you do not fuck. Like, there is no room for bullshit in Lady Mormont's world. She's just like, whoa. And when she gives you the stink eye, like, if Lady Mormont looks at you like, the fuck are you doing? You just like looking at, sorry, I know you're a 12-year-old girl, but fuck, I know, that stare, I can't put up with it. Lady Mormont should have executed Ed Sheeran, kind of. Well, we're left on a bit of tenterhooks there, because Ed Sheeran's with a bunch of soldiers who are meant to be keeping peace because bad things happen to the Frey. So, of course, they're under orders from King's Landing, and Arya stopped with him, and it's like, okay, are these nasty soldiers who have in their mind they're going to rape and murder this girl, or are they honourable soldiers who really want to look after them? And she jokingly said she's going to King's Landing to kill the Queen, and they all just took that as an uproarious joke, and they bonded over that. You know, they're a bunch of Lannister soldiers with someone saying they're going to kill the Queen. That's hilarious. But if she identifies herself as a Stark, they're forced to do something. So you're left in that balance there as like, Arya surrounded by a bunch of soldiers. You know, are they bad and are going to attempt to rape and kill her, and she'll have to kill her? Because we all know she'll kill them all. Are they good and they'll part on good terms? Are they good but they're Lannisters and she's going to identify herself as a Stark and say, oh, by the way, I killed all the Freys, and I mean all of them, and she's going to have to turn on them? So it was a great moment. You're right, Aussie Brick Chick. It was a humanising moment. Those soldiers were ordinary men, and she's being ordinary. So they might part with nothing awful. You're not familiar with the subject, Joe? Oh, yeah. No, well, not everyone is. And we had this discussion in the last live stream. Like, if you don't watch Game of Thrones or haven't read the book, that's fine. You know, there's no reason to. I just think when people try to say that that makes them cool or special, that's really annoying and stupid. You know, there are so many shows I either haven't watched because there aren't enough hours in the day, or I just have no interest in watching. But to sit there and go, I'm so cool because I haven't, is really... No, Joe, I know you weren't hating. That was just a simple observation that you hadn't watched it. But, I also watched 5 minutes, we might say. See, Tendai, you are talking about porn. And so now, you know, I'm talking about porn too. But not porn, but I did watch this week the first episode of the series with Tom Hardy in it, Taboo, which was all kind of set up and portentous. It was very interesting, and I'm interested to see what's going. If you haven't seen Taboo or don't know what it's about, it's set in 1814, which is right near the end of the war between the United States and Britain. Like there was the War of Independence, but even though, you know, the United States won that, Britain didn't give up and invaded again, and that war lasted till 1814, and then, you know, finally Britain gave up on, you know, invading the US after that. Tom Hardy plays this sort of deeply crazy dude who's, you know, left his family in England and spent a decade or two in Africa, and now he's come back and he's all trouble. Yes, the White House was burnt to the ground in that war, Tendai, you're correct. So the British made some pretty goddamn serious inroads into the US when they were determined to take it back. They did ultimately fail because, among other reasons, the French helped the United States, because the French hated the English. The French have always hated the English. English have always hated the French. But yes, a lot of people don't know that happened. A lot of people don't know after the War of Independence, England didn't give up and they invaded again. And it looked for a while like they were going to win. Like they did burn the White House to the ground. That was very symbolic. But, you know, America eventually repelled them, particularly down south. I think that was a lot of the turning points were in the southern states. I remember a song, weird records my older siblings and or dad had when I was a kid. Some album, but some 7-inch singles, and one of them is this song that was about that war. It was this sort of down south good old boy song. Goes, in 1814 we had a little trip along the something to the mighty Mississippi, and it was about the US defending itself against England, and the chorus was all these guys singing in really deep voice. We fired our guns but the British kept it coming, wasn't quite as many as there was a while ago, fired once more and they commenced a running down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. So this is weird, the things that stick in your head. I mean, I must have listened to that record 100 times as a kid, but I haven't heard it for 40 years. But I remember that chorus. Is that weird how things stick in your head? Or at least that's how my brain works. I'm really good at trivia competitions because weird shit sticks in my head. Weird point. I often describe it to people. I think the interior of my skull is lined with Velcro, and weird bits of trivia get caught on the Velcro and stick there until I need them at some point, and then I can bring them out. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that. That's that. Other weird songs I remember. Oh, because my oldest brother was a brickies labourer, and so he was a union guy. And he had one single, it was, I think it was just called The Union Song, and the chorus was, you don't get me, I'm part of the union till the day I die. It was an Australian song. So it was weird. We actually had a pop song about being in a union. And there was the Bob Hawke drinking song, and that's when Bob Hawke was the leader of the ACTU before he joined the Labor Party and eventually became Prime Minister. But yes, my older unionised brother had 2 singles, Australian singles, about being a unionist, as weird as that is. Celtic King, I don't know, there's been excitement there's been Game of Thrones talk. That's actually dominated, we're not even 15 minutes into this chat. It has actually been dominated by Game of Thrones talk. Because I'm a bit of a fan, like, I watched the first series and then I started reading the books. I honestly don't remember if I watched the entire first series before I started reading the books, but I know I'd read all the books before the 3rd series started. And of course there's been no new books published since then, which is really quite weird. George R.R. Martin takes so long to publish the books. Peter Thrupp, I'm so pro-union. See, okay, on some levels, the kind of work I do and my employment could be seen as anti-union. So I'm a contractor, so I'm outside of like union laws for permanent employees. So I have to look after myself, and I'm kind of cheating because I'm, you know, in a prestige job. I get paid a lot as a contractor, so I don't need a union. But I will tell you this for free. If I went to go to work and the people employing me as a contractor were having an industrial dispute and there was a picket line at the front of the building where I worked, there is no way I would cross the picket line. Even to the point of if they said they were going to terminate my contract if I didn't come into work. Like if I rocked up to work and there was a picket line and they said, we're striking for reason X, I would go, okay, I'm not crossing a picket line. And I would call in and say, can't get to work, there's a picket line and I'm not crossing a picket line. And if they said, you've got to come in or we'll terminate your contract, I'd be, because there ain't no way I cross a picket line. I ain't no scab. It's never come up. I've, the closest I came was when the cleaners in a building were having an industrial action, and it wasn't actually about the people that I worked for. It was against the owners of the building, and I stopped and talked to them and asked them what the industrial action was, and they said, you know, we're trying to raise awareness that they're fucking over cleaners and whatnot. And I think cleaners are super important. So I talked to them for a while, and that wasn't a picket line as in they were saying don't cross it. They were just staging a protest. They were on strike and they were staging a protest, but they weren't sort of saying to anyone, well, you know, don't go into work. Because none of us who were tenants in the building worked for the owners of the building. Our employers paid rent to the owners of the building, but we weren't working for the owners of the building, so they weren't striking against us. So that's the closest I've come to a picket line where I was working. But yeah, I am a bit of a collectivist. Whichever way you look at it, I've certainly never been, you know, a communist or a socialist, never been in the Labour Party. That's an interesting question, Big Bad Ads. You work in manufacturing, you've never come across a unionist. You are in a much better position to judge that than me. I don't work in manufacturing. I'm surprised you haven't come across unionists. I thought manufacturing had quite a strong union presence. Speaking from a position of pure ignorance here. Look, I think we are on the cusp of realizing we took unions for granted for too long, and we are about to relearn history. Because in the early 20th century, when workers tried to mobilize and form unions and get some basic rights in the workplace, the bosses hired people to beat and murder them. And I honestly think we are going to see that again. Within, at the most, the next decade or two, workplaces are going to get so totalitarian, people are going to protest, the pickets are going to get violent. This has, of course, happened before, like the miners' strike in England under Thatcher. So I think, but I think in the US is going to see violent strikes and protests and bosses condoned by politicians murdering union people. I think it's going to happen again. It happened in the 20th century, and I think it's going to happen again. Ooh, that was a good question. Have I heard about the show Competitive? Yes, Biori, I have. Do I know much about the Cord, the AOP under Hawke, neutered unions? Oh, Peter, yeah. The, Toby, have you sent me... Oh, no. Okay. I will... Okay, Toby, you sent me a J-Dub Bible. I will check my mailbox tomorrow. Although there's a thing where they're meant to text me if I get something in the mail, and I haven't had a text saying I got mail. But if I remember, I'll check, because I have to be near the post office tomorrow anyway. The company I work for now, I've got to move between 3 offices, and one of them, where I have to go tomorrow, is right next to my post office box. So I'll try and remember to check. But they are supposed to text me when I get something in the mail and I haven't received a text saying I got mail. Yeah, we were saying there that Hawke and Keating somewhat neutered unions with the Accord. There's always this push and pull. Like Hawke and Keating were union people, but they were right-wing union people. Or Joe Will, I don't know how much of the J-Dub Bible I will read because it might be boring, but I am going to give it a look and see what their version of the Bible is like. It's a long time since I've actually read the Bible. I will freely admit that. I haven't read it since school. But I want to see what the J-Dubs have to say. Yeah, there's a tension with things like unions and workplaces, workers' rights and all that stuff. The tension sort of pulls, you get swings back and forth. Like it swings too far one way and you get some excesses there, and then it swings back the other way and you get some excesses there. That's why when it comes to politics, people think I hate people who have politics contrary to mine. I don't, not by definition. People just have different priorities. They see things differently. There are certainly policies that I find contemptible, and I will not hesitate to say when I find policies contemptible, but I acknowledge people are different. There's never going to be a time when everyone agrees with me. And I think that tension of some people want this conservative thing over here and some people want this progressive through to radical thing over here, I think the tension between those has to exist. Sort of pulls back and forth, and you hope there's some sort of balance, but it's not constant and it's not consistent, and you get some extremities both ways. But I don't by definition hate people who have contrary politics to mine, but it depends on them and their specifics and what they promote. That might make me hate them. So we're talking about Confederate, the series that the Game of Thrones makers are going to make, and it's an alternate history thing where it's just prior to America's third Civil War. The South never conceded in the Civil War. Slavery still exists. Bloody, bloody, bloody. Yeah, look, I know a lot of people are saying that's sort of cliched white supremacist wet dream. It could be good. I actually like alternate history stuff. There's a bunch that I read online that was actually free. There's was it the Bayern Free Library? My Rick impression with the burps. If you're into reading stuff for free, speculative fiction and SF, and this leans towards the conservative right wing. Like there's an idea that science fiction is very left wing. There are a lot of right-wing science fiction writers too, and the Bayern Free Library, B-A-E-N, if you like Google that, the Bayern Free Library has a lot of stuff, and they have alternate histories, which I found quite good. Alternate histories can be fun. I mean, a really common one is the Nazis won World War II. There's been a whole bunch of explorations of what the world might be like if the Nazis won World War II. And Confederate seems to be like slavery never went away, and I think they're saying America's about to enter a third civil war. So it could be really good. It might be pushing progressive politics. I don't know. I'm going to wait and see. It might be boring, it might be crap, who knows. Bureau, you are absolutely right. If they don't do this well, it becomes a white supremacist, racist, wet dream. I see. Okay, the question was asked by Celtic King. What am I drinking? I guess you could call this a bacon whiskey sour. This is one of my concoctions. Bourbon that's had the bacon flavored rock candy. I've still got some of that. There's a couple pieces still in there. Maple bacon rock candy dissolved in it. So it's bourbon, bacon flavored, and with lemon and lime in it. So it's like a bacon whiskey sour. basically. It's pretty good, Joe. It is pretty good, actually, I will say. Yeah, no, haven't, God, Tendai, haven't you seen... No, I stopped making the videos where I made the drinks, actually. Now I just make the drinks and drink them. I get the special candies from a place called the Red Balloon on just off Chapel Street in Prahran. And they had some new experimental flavours a couple of weeks ago, and I tried them all. This one, there's none of this left because it was a nice one. Melon Lime Fizz. I put this in vodka, and it's super nice. It's so yummy. There's still some of it left. Where is it? It's just here. See, I've got like green vodka in one of my skull decanters. That is super tasty. A tropical cocktail with a pineapple juice. Well, this is what I like to do, because this is the other one. This is tequila that was flavored with these little guys. They call this Fire and Ice. It's menthol and chili rock candy. I don't know if you can see that. It's got red and blue stripes on the rock candy. So unsurprisingly, when I dissolved it in the tequila, it went purple. The red and blue went purple. And how I like to mix this is with, I've got just some pineapple coconut juice from the supermarket. This and pineapple coconut juice and maybe some fresh lemon juice and maybe a bit of lemonade. So it's a sort of pina colada, I guess. It's really nice. But it's like a Fire and Ice pina colada. It's really good. This one's about to run out. Maybe I'll make that next. As for the suggestion, see, they're not complicated to make. I made a few videos making these drinks, and I don't know that it's that interesting as a video. Like, I could do it live, because literally, all it, I'll pour the alcohol in, and then I drop the candy in, and then I let it melt, which usually takes about a day. It doesn't take long, it takes like 24 hours. And then I usually filter it. I pour it through a coffee filter to just get out some sediment from it. Doesn't get out all the sediment, but it gets out a lot of the sediment, makes it nice and clear. And then I drink it. So yes, that's what I'm doing. Yes, so this one's not that far off finished. I might make a Fire and Ice pina colada after this. I guess to start during one live feed. Yeah, see, that's the thing. It doesn't happen instantly. It takes a day. Like, it's like, okay, I'm making it. That's going to sit over there. Tomorrow, do another live feed. Look, now I'm filtering it, and now I'm drinking it. And it's yummy, because they're usually yummy. Yes, I've still got a few, like there's a herb one I did. So yeah, I mean, I've had this conversation on the live streams a few times. When I flavor the drinks, there's basically 3 key ways to flavor it. There's I use fruit, as in fresh fruit. I usually peel the rind off, whether it be a lemon or a lime or some other citrus usually, and then maybe some pulp as well, and just let that steep for a day or a couple of days so the flavor gets in it, and then filter it so the fruit pulp's not in it, and that makes for a nice drink. I've got a friend brought over some lemons, little lemons. Actually, Mrs. Angry reliably informs me these are called lemonades because they're actually a hybrid mandarin lemon. When you open them inside, the inside does look a bit like a mandarin, but it's tart like lemon, but it's a bit sweeter than the average lemon, but it's very nice in a drink, which is why I got it. So I might even do, I haven't made a fruit infused beverage for a little while, so I might do it while I've got a lot of these. And I'm having a meet up with some Melbourne YouTubers on the weekend, and my friend Terry promised to bring me some lemons there too. So I'll have a whole bunch of lemons. So tangerines are called mandarins over in Australia as well. Tangerines and mandarins are 2 different things. They're very similar, but they're different things. So actually, even as I said that, hello. It's between Star Trek episodes, snack time. Going to melt some chocolate as a snack. So the beeping you hear in the background is a microwave melting some chocolate for a snack. Break between the Star Trek episodes. Ruka-san, someone needs to stop me, man. Sorry, what was that? Peter, did you see anything about Rainbow Scarf Man? I have no idea who Rainbow Scarf Man is. Feel free to enlighten me. That is not a person or a term I am familiar with, and I like to learn new things. So if you can illuminate me about Rainbow Scarf Man, I would be most appreciative. Hey Mike, how's it going? This is what I love about doing this. Like if I do this for an hour or two, a whole bunch of people come in and out over the time. I am doing very well, thank you, Luke. One more day and it's a weekend. And my work is a little bit stressful right now. So kicking back and having a drink or two is just what the doctor ordered. When Larissa Waters did her press conference, one of my local councillors background, Rainbow Scarf Man, okay. I love how that happens. Someone in the background of a video becomes someone that everyone notices. Oh cool, Biori, you do drawings. If you ever feel like sharing them with me, that would be cool, you know. Send me a link on Twitter or Facebook or something. I am always keen to see people's creativity. I have some very creative friends. I am a shit drawer myself. Yes, Ruka-san, work is to suck sauce. Well, it's not that bad. I've sort of, you know, working in a big company and moved from project to project, and I got put on this big one. It's a big sort of, it's tied in around changes to some government regulations. And so it's got a deadline, and so everyone's freaking out. Oh, Joe, I am glad to keep you company. Like I said, when I do the longer videos, some people say like, just hang out, and I sincerely, I love the whole interaction thing with the live streams. I really enjoy it. So I'm glad you enjoy it too. But also, even when people watch it back, I've had people tell me they treat it like a podcast, or they'll put it in the background while they're doing chores around the house, and it is like I'm there, you know, it's like we're sharing time, it's company. I think that's awesome. I love it. Asking, was that Ruka-san? Yes, I'm still contracting. Haven't managed to. No, I'm not even trying to find a permanent job, because contracting pays heaps more than permanent. And after a spectacularly failed attempt to launch like a major YouTube convention type thing a couple of years ago, I ended up hideously in debt that I haven't quite paid off yet. James, how do I manage to get qualified for 2 jobs? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. What are the 2 jobs you think I'm qualified for? But yeah, I work in IT as a contractor, and by the end of the year, I will be debt free. So I have been allotted. See, when I tried to do this event, I didn't work for over 6 months, so I had no income. And so I lived off my savings and burnt through that, and then lived off credit cards for a while. And it's the credit cards I'm paying off now. And I paid for a bunch of things, deposits on things that I couldn't get refunds for. So I was broke, motherfucker. Connor, do people pester me to fix my PCs? I'm not a physical, technical IT person. I'm on the administration side. I write requirements in the corporate world for major projects. I write the requirements for the development. So I'm not a hands-on person. But speaking of getting people to fix your PC, my daughter, Young Ms. Angry, she is very clever, and she built her own PC. Like she ordered all the parts on time online and built it, and it was awesome and worked. And I went, cool, I need a new PC. I'll give you the money, buy the parts and build me a new PC. And it's not actually working at the moment. I have to have it looked at, and she's not sure what's wrong. So I need some help on that front. And then I'll have a new high-powered PC, because I got a new camera as well, a new 4K video camera, so I can do super cool things, but my laptop isn't powerful enough to really process 4K video, so I'm still shooting on my old camera for my laptop. But as soon as the desktop's ready and it's super high-powered, it should be able to do the 4K video, and I'll do all kinds of things. So yes, I have worked out, I'm paying off my debt quite aggressively, and I will be debt-free by the end of the year, which will be cool. That's funny. When I say paying off quite aggressively, I mean $5,000 a month. I'm paying down my debt at the rate of $5,000 plus a month. So at the end of the year, when I finish paying it off, I'll suddenly have an extra $5,000 a month, which I guess I will put into savings or superannuation, or, you know, that type of thing. Okay, the question was posed, you know, I'm doing entertainment stuff and being an IT professional. The entertainment side is how I stay sane, really. I'm not making money in any significant sense from doing YouTube and whatnot. The day job, the IT, is what pays my bills, and doing this is what keeps me sane. Give me money, give me money. Connor, you say it's enough for a decent crack habit, but is it? Because if I do something like that, I'm gonna like go large. It's like go big or go home. I'm not gonna do it by half measures. So that's a dangerous path to go down with me. So I don't think we'll be doing that. But yes, it will be very weird after aggressively paying down the debt to have finished it. Oh, James, I understand the whole thing about being a poor music student. You know, it took me a few decades of working to get to the level where I get paid what for me is a shit ton of money. Like seriously, like I grew up, I was a, you know, one of 10 kids, Catholic family, country town, fucking poor as dirt. My dad had his own business. He was a photographer. But you know, we were, I mean, yeah, we had our own home. So, you know, we weren't destitute. We had a home, we had clothes. We didn't have a lot of extras, but you know, we weren't bereft completely. But the idea of earning as much as I can now, if you go back to me as a kid and say, you're gonna earn this much, it would blow my mind. Like, you know, it's not like I'm a millionaire or even vaguely close to that. But if you went back to me growing up and said, you're gonna earn this much money, I wouldn't believe you. Like, that's so far outside of my world growing up, earning that much money. I wouldn't have been able to process it. So yeah. Have I seen Baby Driver? Yes, Baby Driver is an awesome movie. So if you haven't seen Baby Driver, go see it. I actually got, you know when you see those, I saw a thing on Facebook of some promotion like, hey, enter here and you might win a double pass to Baby Driver. And I went, yeah, whatever. And I put my details in. Next day I got an email. You get a double pass to a preview of Baby Driver. So I went and saw it. It's a good movie. Like, it's just, the pace of it is so fun. Like, I realized several times during it, I was really clutching the arms of my chair in the cinema. Like, I was like, fuck, this is really full. Like, the pace of this is so full on. And It is a really entertaining movie. Just like good, like it's not deep. It's not, yeah, it's an Edgar Wright movie. It's not deep. It's not art, but by God, it's entertaining. Like it's just snap, 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 snap. Like everyone in it is good. Like it's a real ensemble cast and they're all really good. And it's just like a cracking pace in it. Really, really entertaining movie. And it's got full-on driving stuff because, you know, he's a getaway driver for criminals. It's like Hollywood makes that movie every couple of years, the getaway driver. You know, going way back to Steve McQueen as Bullet, every now and years. Oh yeah, you're right, Peter. Jamie Foxx was really good as the probably psychotic but quite savvy, violent criminal, recognizing that the white guy in the gang was probably a Wall Street broker who got into some criminal shit and is now a full-on criminal to make money because he can't work on Wall Street anymore. But overall, it's good. And yeah, it sort of goes without saying. Jamie Foxx is good. Of course he is. He's always entertaining. John Hamm was good. Kevin Spacey was good. The young actors were good. You know, everyone who's in it was really entertaining. So yeah, it's very escapist. It's it's not quite a throwaway action film, but it's a really good, fun, escapist action film. Like, but also technically brilliant. Like the execution of it, the writing is really sharp and it really fires because it's Edgar Wright, so of course it is. And the directing and editing, everything about it is really sharp and really pops, really entertaining. Oh, Bureau, the movie's all about the soundtrack because you know, his baby listens to music. He's like, he's got tinnitus. I have tinnitus. And Mrs. Angry was asking if I identified with him, you know, because I have tinnitus. Not so much identify with him, but the bits when they had the tinnitus as a sound effect were really disconcerting to me because that is the sound I get in my head. And it's actually quite off-putting when they put it in a movie because it's like, oh, is my tinnitus coming in? No, it's the movie. Okay, yeah, okay, I'll struggle on, but that's actually really unpleasant because tinnitus fucking sucks. And I have it quite bad, quite honestly. I'm, in my right ear, I'm half deaf. I had surgery on that ear and I've got tinnitus generally. Like, it's always as a background thing. Like at work, I have headphones in at work all the time just to balance things out, just partly to get rid of the tinnitus and also to have like a constant level of, it's not white noise because it's music, but a constant level of sound so that everyone around me is less distracting. It's on a low enough volume so if someone says my name, I'll hear it. But yeah, oh Joe, really loud. Sometimes when I'm trying to sleep, people don't believe me when I say this, but sometimes if my tinnitus is particularly bad, when I'm lying in bed trying to sleep, it is literally like someone's screaming in my ear. It is this howling, screaming sound in my head, and it won't go away because it's just like damage to my eardrums that's causing it. So, Joe, I don't really have a problem with it drowning out people trying to talk to me. I notice it more in silence. But occasionally, like if someone's talking to me, sometimes when people talk and they don't face you, like they talk and they're walking away and they're not talking, I have to stop people and say, you're facing away from me and talking quietly, I can't hear you. If you want to talk to me, you have to turn around and face me and talk to me. You're right, James, musicians should wear ear protection, and I should have worn ear protection when I was young and going to rock concerts and standing next to speaker stacks, because that's where I got my hearing damage from and where I get tinnitus from. Okay, I just got the very bad connection warning come out of the blue. So I don't know if this is buffering for anyone. Here, look, I'm out of drink. Maybe I'll take advantage of this very bad connection moment to get... First, I need more ice. I definitely need more ice. So, get the ice, baby. Oh, yeah. I'll get some ice. Got an ice cube tray. Disadvantage because you're mentally unable to filter out background sound to focus. Well, Joe, I don't think mine is severe enough that it stops me from hearing people. The worst sort of punishment from my tinnitus comes when there's silence, because the noise gets really loud when there's nothing. That's why I wear headphones, and that's why Baby Driver wears headphones to sort of drown out the tinnitus. But I'm not quite the same as Baby Driver. There's also oh yeah, there is buffering. Okay, yes. I don't know how long the buffering will last. I think my kids are playing online games using up all the bandwidth. They occasionally come out and berate me and go, "You uploading a video, my game's running slow. What are you doing?" You know, because I'm of secondary importance. Anyways, I'm going to get my mixer over here. Mix myself a drink. Ooh, yeah, we'll go over here and get this. Stop that. Alright. See, pine orange drink. Ice baby. Okay, so gonna mix myself a drink while we're talking. Put that in there. Get my fire and ice tequila, because I'm a bad man. Yeah, the buffering, I don't know how long that's going to last. I'm still getting the thing saying very bad connection. Hopefully it won't last forever, because it's just sort of out of the blue from everything's fine to, oh no, we're buffering. Just licking the runoff of my jigger. Oh yeah, that's got chili in it. Okay, now I'll put a bit of the pineapple. Caleb retracted a message. Okay, fair enough. That is a very weird thing to see on the screen. Yeah, Roxanne, it could be your connection, but mine is actually telling me that. Oh no, it's saying it's fine. So hopefully it's fine at your end, wherever you are. Yeah, Mike, it is a sad fact that in Australia we use potatoes for our internet. Yeah, it's just said at my end that it's got better. So wherever you are, hopefully in a minute or two, because I also realise there is somewhat of a lag between when you post a message and when I see it a lot. Because I kind of work it out, it's like, oh, you're reacting to something I said 2 minutes ago. That is also a good point, Peter. We do elect potatoes to important positions in the government. Ooh, yeah. That's, oh man. Oh, I taste that chili as it goes down my throat. That is really good. James, there is a problem with economies of scale in Australia. We have such a sparse population, it's absurdly expensive to connect them all to the internet. But even in the cities, it's kind of shit, quite honestly. Yes, we're talking about potatoes in Australian politics. Peter Dutton, what a fucking scumbag he is. And he's just been given power. They've invented this new bloody super homeland security fucking secret police bullshit that he's in charge of. And he's the last person you should give power to. Joe, you say New Zealand has a smaller population and better internet, but they also have a smaller area as well. Australia's Australia's population is spread over an absurdly large area, and it's expensive to hook them all up. Yeah, you're right, Rickson. He's got like a fancy new ministry of fucking shooting people. Seriously, they're talking about empowering the government to release the military onto the streets of Australia in an emergency. It's like, who the fuck doesn't think a government would abuse that? It's absolutely absurd. And Dutton, a former fucking Queensland drug cop, the most corrupt sort of cop from the most corrupt state in Australia. I'm sure Dutton is the exception. I'm sure he's the one Queensland drug cop who's not a massive fucking criminal. I'm sure. Honestly, if someone's trying to sue me for libel, I'm absolutely sincere when I say I'm absolutely positive Peter Dutton wasn't a corrupt fucking cop, and he isn't corrupt now. I'm gonna go tickle in my nose. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, Peter, the fucking corruption in Queensland was astonishing. Yeah, because you just look at that and go, okay, a Queensland drug cop with that much... I've got to see... Alright, I just got a tickle in my nose. Oh, don't know what brought that on. I haven't got a cold. There are so many sick people at work, like sniffling and snorking, and people missing days of work because they're sick. I'm like, oh God, you guys are all trying to give me a germs, aren't you? I've gone all winter without getting sick. I better get fucking sick now. Orika-san, time to start the resistance? Well, buddy, I don't think it's far off, let me tell you. It's just, you know, it's hard not to feel like we're being backed into a corner. Oh, Celtic King, thanks for dropping by, buddy. You're always good to see you. And I hope to see you again. I will be doing... when's the next live stream? Will probably be on the weekend. Oh, fuck, Joe. They're watching all the time. I just fucking assume I have a file. Oh, yeah, Pig's Head dumped it in Islamic school. That's just like... The world is empowering bigots and racists at the moment. And, you know, every time we think we're past something, there's some reactionary prick who brings it back. I mean, you say, like, a comment there from Tendai saying Big Brother's watching. Like, it's really funny. I don't know how old the joke is. There's a joke where yeah, the American Psychiatrists Association have officially declared that thinking the government is spying on you and is out to get you is no longer a sign of mental illness. It's just a sign that you're noticing what's going on. Look, we have been shown beyond any doubt the government, like the US government, governments around the world, have set up an infrastructure so they can surveil anyone they want. They can intercept any phone conversation, any internet communication. They can physically surveil you quite easily. We've been shown incontrovertible evidence that that is something that governments around the world can do what they want. So it basically comes down to you and I have as much privacy as the government considers us deserving of. You can think you're super clever and I'm hacker man staying under the radar and whatnot, but you are secret for as long as the government allows you to remain secret. It's basically at any point, if the cops or the government decide they want to surveil you, that's it. You have no privacy. They got you. I just want to go back to James. You asked the question: do different districts in Australia have massive cultural, political differences, because the difference, yes. Okay, our two major population centres, I think it's like, you know, half the population lives in either Sydney or Melbourne, okay? And the rest is spread out over a massive area. And country people, I grew up in the country. Country people tend to be more conservative than city people. When you go up to Queensland, which is north, the northeast coast, that's kind of like, that's like Florida in the States. That's like the conservative weird bit. And because it's warm, like Florida, old people go up there to retire. So it's whiter than everywhere else and more conservative than everywhere else. But where you get really remote areas like Darwin, the Northern Territory, you do get variations in Australian accents. Not as much as like UK accents. I think not even as much as American accents, because like someone from, for instance, Boston sounds completely different to someone from Alabama. They don't sound at all similar. One of the biggest differences I get in accents is really remote areas, particularly up the tropical north. Darwin, they talk much slower. So in Darwin, I'm not really exaggerating that people will talk a bit more like this. They will talk more slowly and more nasally. It's still an Australian accent, but it's slower and it's a bit more nasal. Now, AZ, for instance, reckons he can pick accents all around Australia. I'm pretty bad at it. Oh, Mike's saying the South Australian accent. The South Australian accent tends to have some sort of more English pronunciations. South Australian people are more likely to say dance and chance as opposed to dance and chance. I got freaked out the first person who called a castle a castle. They referred to the city of Newcastle instead of Newcastle. So there are definite regional accents in Australia. And like Tasmania is this island state and it's really isolated and they are fucking inbred. Not everyone, it's a really beautiful state, but there's weird fucking conservatism happens in Tasmania because there's much less fluidity in their population. Newcastle's a very industrial town. But say towel. Why? What is the way I say towel thing? That's how I say towel. Doesn't Tasmania? Rooksen, you're a bad man saying that Tasmanians speak in that tongue-clicking language. Aussie. Well, actually, there are few African languages that use the glottal stop. Yeah, in thing. It's like the Scottish accent. Oh, see, James, my family comes from Scotland. Actually, my family name comes from up the Orkneys, up the far north of Scotland. I love the Scottish accent. I did get to visit Edinburgh, one of my trips there, which I really enjoyed. But the glottal stop that some African languages are famous for, it's like a Scottish person saying bottle. You're saying bottle, the instead of t. Oh. Yeah, see, musical elevator, because I've moved around. I lived in the country, then I lived in Sydney, and I lived in Melbourne, so I probably bastardized my accent. I don't sound like people in the town I came from anyway. Oh, this is Angry's English. See, pants. English people call underpants pants, whereas I call like jeans or trousers, that's pants. Underpants aren't pants, they're underpants. So I get really confused with English people who will be referring to, oh, so wacky, I just spent the weekend in my pants. I spent the weekend in my pants too, dude. That's what normal people do. You wear pants. What the fuck? And then you realize they're talking about undies and you're like, oh, okay, what? Why are they pants? They're underpants. But yes, no. Okay, Joe. Mrs. Angry doesn't refer to things that are rubbish as pants. Although I have seen that. I loved this comic when I was at college. I used to get this. It was like a weekly treat. Go down to the newsagent and get a weekly comic and a donut with my girlfriend. And for ages we got this. It was a kids comic. It was called Oink, and it was, you know, their structure was, it was published by pigs, and Uncle Pig was the publisher. It's called Oink, and it was a lot of crass, obnoxious, snotty kids humor in it. But it was also, it was under the sort of gross out kid humor, there was this radical left-wing politics, like really radical left-wing politics hiding amongst this gross out kids humor, including vegetarianism, of course, because it was published by pigs. Of course they promoted vegetarian. Hey, Mr. Stephen, glad that you are here for the first time in a while. It was great, and it was a weekly comic, and it had really stupid jokes in it, and it was a lot of fun. And then it stopped being weekly, so then I started getting 2000 AD weekly, the comic with Judge Dredd in it, as an excuse to go down to the newsagent each Saturday with my girlfriend to the shopping mall, get a comic and a donut, you know, an iced donut, and sit there and eat it, read it, and that was heaps fun. But the Oink comic was weird. It had Frank Sidebottom in it. Some people may have heard of Frank Sidebottom. There was actually a movie that had Michael Fassbender in it. The movie's just called Frank. It's this big paper mache head, and it was Frank Sidebottom, and it was really weird to see that, like, decades later, that Frank Sidebottom was still around. Michael Fassbender played Frank. But Oink had the weirdest humour. Like, of course, because it was published by pigs, the most evil villain they could put in any of their comics was a butcher. And so they had, in some of the comic strips, they had these psychopathically evil bad guys with just terrible powers who were butchers. The most famous was Jimmy the Cleaver Smith. It was a truly weird things. There was one comic just called Harry the Head, where you guess the character was just a head, didn't have a body. There's another one called Horace Ugly Face Watkins, and it's just this kid who was just super ugly, hence ugly face. There was this really gross, smelly alien called Burp. That was probably the most subversive of all their strips, was this gross, smelly alien called Burp. But it was spectacularly weird. Like, it was just, on the surface, it was a kid's comic, and it was quite innocent, gross out humor that kids are into, but it was incredibly subversive. Bro, it reminds me of a comic about a cow which had superpowers. Tried to save its species by promoting eating chicken. It's like that weird novelty song from a couple of years ago, a decade or so ago, called Cows with Guns. Oh yeah, Rickus, and of course there will be scans of it online. Because it's going to have weird die-hard fans like me. I'm just going to say, I'm not really into chili. Like, for those who weren't around when I mixed my drink, I got my tequila, which has been infused with rock candy that's chili and menthol flavored, so fire and ice. Oh my God, it makes for a good drink, particularly mixed with something. No, Rickson, I don't need the link because I still have the comics. If I really wanted to read the comics, I would just get them out of the box they're in. I might do that one day. Who knows? I'm crazy. I could do anything. So... Oh, Josie, you're saying you had a chili for lunch. I won't do that. I won't eat chilies. I am such a white person. of, can I have a mild version of that, please? Yeah, but I did have an experience in a Thai restaurant once. I had some chicken dish that did have some chili in it, but I didn't really realize. And there was a bit of, there was like fried chili, but I thought it was like chicken skin. I thought it was part of my chicken. There's a bit of chili about this big that had been fried. And I didn't even have a drink. I didn't have water at the table. And I I think that's a bit of crunchy chicken. And put it, and I go, crunch, 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 crunch. And it's like, fuck. And I'm trying to signal to a waiter, like, I need a drink. I'm going, please come over here now. Please come over here now. I need a drink so badly. Was that, Bureau, the thing about the cows called speed steer? Okay. Look for a review, atop the fourth wall, speed steer. That's worth, if you're watching this back and you want to see a weird comic about cows, look up atop the fourth wall, speed steer. What am I reading? I've got some comics in a box somewhere I'm due to read. Let's do the I am a man punch rise. Oh yeah, Peter, dear God, this weird thing that the Australian federal government seems to have given a network owned by Rupert Murdoch $30 million to show more sport, but there's no paperwork around it, like, what does the taxpayer get for this $30 million handout, and what, it's just like fucking surreal. The way Murdoch and conservative governments are giving each other hand jobs around the world is fucking terrifying to see. Anyone like Japanime? I do like anime, James, and you are absolutely right. There is supremely weird stuff. And it's always fun when they do self-aware weird stuff. Like, they're aware of their own weird conventions and they make a series that exploits their own weird conventions. Like, what was the one years ago? Super snot for you. Bo. That was a pretty good, supremely weird one from about a decade ago. Bo. I mean, more recently, One Punch Man is a great anime that's completely bizarre. Oh yeah, Mr. Stephen, I like that line. I saw someone say that people are so worked up about a female Doctor Who. They're so obviously just anti anything female. We should maybe tell them climate change is a woman, and then they would fight against it. And then the human race might stand a chance of surviving. Ugh. Gotta have the conversation with my kids one day. Sorry we fucked up the world. Sorry you're gonna die in a weird fucking Mad Max hellscape. Everyone knew what they were doing and did it anyway. Sorry. Alright, James, the school life animes are weird as fucking hell. You are absolutely right. And even the ones that aren't sexual, even the school animes that aren't sexual, are severely fucking weird. I'm trying to remember the one my kids got one. They got like a box set of some anime that's a school one, and it's a light-hearted one, and it's a really weird one, and it's incredibly entertaining to watch because it's mental. It just goes all over the place. Oh yeah, Peter, please say, when are we going to get a male Wonder Woman? It's Superman. I saw someone take that apart. Like, they went like, oh, how about a male Wonder Woman or a male Miss Marple? or a male this, and they went through saying should be these male archetype or female characters. And the person just went, there are. It's Superman, it's Poirot, it's Indiana Jones, it's this, and they're just saying like, shut the fuck up, you whining fucking children. Jesus. Your true self, woman, there is literally a Wonder Man. You went out west and had a schnitzel, Mr. Puggy Wins. That actually does sound like a pretty good deal, quite honestly. I am a fan of the schnitzel. That's one of my favorite things. Americans particularly are not really aware of the schnitzel, whether it's a chicken schnitzel or a veal schnitzel. The Australian style one, veal, like Parma, chicken Parma, would be, my favorite ones are the really big ones. It's like, they start with a fairly big chicken breast, like a double chicken breast, and they beat it flat so it's the size of a fucking huge plate, like it's this big. And Mr. Stephen, schnitzel is a piece of veal or chicken breast. My favorite ones start with a big chicken breast, beat it flat so it's the size of a really big plate, like it's about this fucking big, and then you crumb it and fry it, and then you put like a pizza sauce on top of it, and ham and cheese, and grill that. And so you've got this thing that's this fucking big, chicken, crumbed fried chicken with pizza sauce, ham and cheese, and it's fucking glorious. It is fucking glorious. It is such a good meal. You've been off meat for a decade, Peter. Good. Look, it's definitely healthier. I could see a future where I was vegetarian, because I honestly think it's conceivable that I could give up meat, but not vegan. I can't give up cheese for a start. Cheese just tastes too fucking good. And you don't have to mistreat a cow to get cheese. You can be quite respectful to a cow and still get cheese. So while I like meat and I eat a lot of meat, I had chicken for dinner tonight, I could conceive of a future where I'm vegetarian, but not vegan. Mike, you're going to run out to a pub right now. It's like, was it like 9 o'clock at night, 9:30, but the pubs will still be open and still serving chicken schnitzels. You could get out there right now and get a big old chicken schnitzel. And why wouldn't you? Because god damn it, it's good. That was Mr. Safety's favourite thing in Australia. My friend, YouTube friend Corey, Mr. Safety, SMP Films, Dude Like Hell, Olivia Days, reincarnated a few times on YouTube, but one of his favourite things in Australia was a huge chicken parma. Oh, calzone is great. Oh, Tendai, I have a local pizza place where I am now that does this calzone with feta and garlic and cheese, and it's fucking fantastic. It is so good. I reckon I could live on it. Calzone's like a folded pizza. Oh my god, Bureau's telling me there's a school life anime called School Days, horrible, based on a romance game, went with the evil ending where the main character's a piece of shit. That does sound good. You're right, Damage, this is a bit of a Luke Skywalker beard, isn't it? It's not intentional, that's just how my beard grows. But with the grey, it's a little bit of a Luke Skywalker beard. I was tracking back through comments. Oh, Mr. Puggy Wins asked if I chose this clothing. This is my work clothes, actually. Oh, right, my Han Solo clothes. No, I wear a vest to work, a button-down vest to work, and a white shirt. This is still my work clothes. I haven't changed out of my work clothes. So I chose it deliberately for work. I didn't choose it. I almost changed to a shoot. Bureau, I will always shoot first. If a motherfucker gets in my way, I will shoot first and not apologize for it. James, you're right. That particular school thing sounds awful. Yeah, when you see the really weird anime, it's like Japan living up to that reputation of being fucked up. Joe, will you never fuck with me? Oh my God, you reminded me of one of my favourite sort of hardcore acts from the 90s, the Revolting Cocks. Who knows them? That's a spin-off of Ministry. Al Jorgensen and some of his friends. Anyone here know the Revolting Cocks? They're sort of a 90s hardcore outfit. But on one of their albums, they had this track where it's just, you know, like a beat going and do-do-do-do-do-do, and this female voice going, "Who's your favorite cock?" And it was like this. It sounds like a rapper, and he's talking about the different members of the Revolting Cocks and how they're bad and scary, and you don't want to mess with them. And I always remember one line he's talking about one of the members of the Revolting Cocks. Oh, then there's Buck. Don't fuck with Buck, because Buck will fuck you up. I was like, yeah, I've always liked that as a thing. Don't fuck with me because I will fuck you up. Joe, that was me who punched him. Corey did the video with chuck a shrimp on the barbie. That was me. That was my barbecue in my house. And he was staying with me, and that was his idea for a video. He bounds out with a chuck a shrimp on the barbie, and I just punched him. That was a good video. It goes for about 30 seconds. Yes, I've done a few videos with him over the years. I know when he was staying at my place, he'd never seen Two Girls, One Cup. So I recorded a Two Girls, One Cup reaction video with him, which was pretty good. Oh, you got family going down to Melbourne, Mr. Puggy. I hope they enjoy it. Oh, yeah. Peter, that was another one we did, telling him fake Australian slang and he should go and talk to the neighbour. Yes, that was fun. Okay, I'll also tell the truth. That was my house. That wasn't the neighbour. And the voice you hear is actually Mrs. Angry. Because her face never appears on any of my videos, but her voice is in a lot of them. So I've done a few where I say I'm going up to my neighbour's house and it's actually my house. And the voice you hear is actually Mrs. Angry. Corey's channel is, well, there's SMP Films was his main one. And there's, oh yeah, the ones we're talking about are on SMP Films or on mine. If you go onto, look, basically search AngryAussie SMP Films on YouTube and you will see a bunch of weird shit that we did together because we've done quite a few videos together over the years. Some of them are on his channel and some of them are on my channel. But yeah, he was like one of my first YouTubers. I was actually the first person he subscribed to on YouTube about 11 years ago. But he was the first person I made friends with on YouTube. Yes, Eaten Alive by Parrots, that type of thing. Yes, he has a baby. He actually has a baby. He is like the sweetest guy in the world. For all the funny, wild, wacky things he's done in different videos on different channels over the year, he's basically just the sweetest guy in the world. I feel like all he's ever wanted is someone to be in love with and have a family with. And now he has that, and that's the most beautiful thing in the world. I have this funny feeling the Star Trek marathons finish next door, which means I'll go to bed. You're right, Joe, they are a great couple. Mr. Stephen, that's a fair call. Australians don't know how to cook, that's why they like barbecue. I actually don't barbecue that much. I cooked butter chicken for dinner tonight. Yes, the Mean Kitty song, I think, is his most viewed video. 88 million views is pretty goddamn good, quite honestly. And the funniest thing is when he did that, he never did that with him. This is it. This is going to be the hugest thing I ever do. It's just like he had a new cat and it was fairly aggressive and he made up this song about it and Sparta, and it just became huge. This is like crushed bits of sugar and tangy stuff in the bottom of this, and that's all I'm doing here. Don't read too much into it. What's the vid where I punch Corey? I think it's on his channel, and it might be called like "Never Do This to an Australian" or something. Now the challenge is on. Can someone find that video where Corey comes out and says, "Put a shrimp on the Barbie," and I punch him? There's the thing. Here's the other thing. Like, Corey will often talk in his videos. That's it. Oh, Joe, you're a legend. How to piss off Australians. Look up SMP Films, How to Piss Off Australians. I'm sure that's it. Corey will talk about having ADD, which he does. He has attention deficit disorder. He's been on medication over the years. And he actually sort of leverages and exploits that with a lot of his creativity. But there's the cliche that people who have ADD can't focus on anything, and that's not strictly speaking true. It can manifest in different ways. I've stayed with Corey, he stayed with me, and I've worked with him. When he is editing a video, he is insanely hyper focused. Okay, Mr. Puggy, I'm assuming it's still live on his channel. I'm not 100% sure if it is, but search AngryAussie SMP Films How to Piss Off Australian, because I actually did, I'm not sure if it's on his channel or my channel. I think it's on his channel, not 100% sure. But I've been with him when he's editing, and he is just like insanely hyper focused. He will spend 12 hours working on a video to get it exactly how it wants. And I've worked with him and collabed with him, and he'll reshoot and reshoot and reshoot until he's happy with it. Like, he is a perfectionist, and he's super talented. He's great to work with. And he's a super nice guy too. Never mind. I'm tired. Poor Mr. I'm tired too. I think I'm going to go to bed soon. Thanks, Mr. Pugwins. Catch you later, whenever. It's almost... Oh, Maz, you're going to the States on Monday. That sounds like fun. Is that a holiday or work or family? I have not been to the States for a few years, and it is a fun place to visit. I think I would enjoy going back. Definitely, Tendo, punch any nuts you... Oh, well, have a good fun on the holiday. Okay, Joe, well, you found the video. But it's called How to Piss Off in Australia. Is it on SMP Films? God, the fridge is being weird. The fridge is making... I don't know if you can hear it, but the fridge is making weird noise between them. Well, Mr. Stephen, you are right. You would piss off Australians by having a Brit say they're better at everything. Oh, yeah, you might find it on a random site too. You're right, Joe. People do fucking steal videos and re-upload them. Yeah, my fridge is being super weird. Look, I'm going to go to bed. God, that's okay. It's like 90 minutes. That's a pretty good run. Thank you, everyone, for joining me this evening. I really enjoyed having everyone here. It's always a good time hanging out here on a live stream. We're doing it again soon, possibly tomorrow night. But if I don't do it, if I do a pre-recorded video for tomorrow night, I'll do a live stream maybe on the weekend. So keep an eye out. Thank you very much for joining me. Always a good time, and I'll see you again soon. Bye now.